click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 125, and we're joined by probably the fastest barista in the well, definitely the fastest barista I know. But welcome to the podcast, Conor Cummins. How are we doing?
Great.
We can't be throwing facts like that round. Is this actual fact?
It's got to be.
It's
honest.
got to be.
I can't imagine many people working in Costa Coffee can do the TT at 132. What is it? 132 US?
Yeah. No, well, I've been branded that a couple of times, so I'll take it.
Do you know when you're on the island, do you get there's Conor Cummins the bike racer, there's Conor Cummins the coffee man the most?
Of late, it's becoming the coffee dude or whatever you want to call it, but I'm like, I do ride a bike as well.
Do you have a preference to what you prefer being recognised for?
Oh, definitely bikes. Yeah. It's I do love the coffee side, but yeah, the racing's what I like to be sort of associated with more so. It's good crack. Like.
I tell you what, I was up in a beautiful little village in the northeast, proper in the middle of nowhere, near where Dom's originally from, near Hexham. A little place called Blanchland, beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And I went.
Have you been to Blanchland?
That
was such a polite answer. That yes, heard of it.
There's a little news agent, and I went
right.
in. There's one news agent, and this whole thing went in, and there's a big coffee machine, and I thought he's taken over the northeast.
Yeah. Branching out, going international. There's a guy called Dave Hall, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it is Dave Hall, what am I talking about? Lovely fella, I met him at the TT, and he said, I'd love to have your coffee in our shop. So I thought, yeah, no problem at all. I think I was just about to go out for practice, I went straight to the warehouse and got a load of coffee.
I thought you were generally having me on there, so this is actually the case.
Yeah, that's it. Do you do much in England?
We do the odd bit, yeah. There's a bike shop called Mann in Birmingham. It's like at one of those go-to spots that the bikers go to and chill out and have a coffee and a bite to eat and stuff. So we've sent a load there over the last sort of year. So we're getting more out there, and it's not really, we do no marketing. It's me sat on my phone typing a lot of nonsense and just trying to promote my brands, and that's how we sort of get out there. But it's more, I do more promoting it through my bikes, and I have my lid all branded up and stuff. But yeah, we're getting out there. We've had inquiries from the States. Can we send it out to the States? We're not actually allowed to send it to the States for some reason, but so we don't. But there's definitely interest all around the world, and which is blowing me away, to be honest.
And I take it it's massive on the Isle of Man. Like, have you, what in terms of your shops and stuff? What have you got?
So I've got 2 eateries really. One was the first coffee shop that we opened in 2018, just before the Northwest 200. And that was only a coffee shop to start with, and that's what we focused on, because that was it came off the back of all the knowledge from Coffee Man that we buying and selling machines, renting them out and whatnot. And so we thought, well, if we're doing it in that way, why don't we do our own coffee shop? So that's when CONOR was born, and that's grown. It's now we serve food, make food fresh in house, everything, and then we started the pizzeria last year. So that's an eatery, but a coffee shop through the day as well. So yeah, and then there's Coffee Man as well, which is the machine supply and the vending and water and all the coffee. So I've got a bit on.
You can see how busy he is.
And they're at Brands Hatch as well.
Jesus. So when did Coffee Man start? Was that 2018? It just went straight into it.
2015.
Right.
That was when we started. Actually, I've still got it, the little Piaggio Ape, little 3-wheeler. So
is that the one out of signing on office at your park?
At
TT every year.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I got into coffee. Bought that little 3-wheeler from Northern Ireland, got it in, started doing events, and just built up knowledge and just had a bit of fun with it. And yeah, it's gone from there. And
you haven't been asleep since.
Yeah.
2015.
Too many espressos.
Good
wires every day.
Good. So I'll tell you what, before we go creeping into your past, how's today gone, gentlemen? I'll tell you what, it's taken me 7 bastard days to get down here. I hate, look, London traffic can shove it right up there. It's taken forever, but all the way down the road here, the world of BSB is just thrown up on a plate, hasn't it? You know, OMG going to Yamaha. Who else? Luke Mossey's gone to Tag, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so
seen that, yeah.
what else has happened while I've been on the road, gentlemen? How's your practice gone? What's been happening?
I think you've nailed the big stories there. And
Yeah.
it is pretty massive stories as well. I was speaking to Alan earlier, and he was saying that the taking away Jason O'Halloran's bike at the end, like after the racing on Sunday tomorrow. Right. So exactly how Jason's bike is, and then the borrowing Taz's bike to go testing. But yeah, they're going to be like a satellite Yamaha team to McCann. So yeah. Big move in it.
Big
and
news.
That's so there was Suzuki a few years ago. They've done 2 years on the BM, and then it is 2 years, isn't it?
Would be
2 years on the BM, and then over to Yamaha. So yeah, big change. But like you said, Mossey's still racing in Superstock this weekend, but he's also out on the Honda for Tag as well, sort of replacing Dan Linfoot. So yeah, big.
And we also touched on Taylor McKenzie packing in. Well, not packing in. We don't know what he's on with for the future.
Yeah, retiring, isn't he? Mm-hmm.
What else has been happening? It's going to bug me, this. FS3 have announced their riders.
Yeah.
And OMG are keeping with who? Who are they keeping with?
Bradley Ray and Kyle Riot.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
So staying with the same team, and FS3 are doing the same as well, because there was lots of rumours about Skinner going over to Moto2 and various things, but they've re-signed Skinner and Jackson. So yeah, same teams there. But yeah, in terms of today, it's been a bit of a funny day, hasn't it? It's been like we woke up this morning and it was that sort of miserable rain where it wasn't wet enough for wet.
That that happy rain, Chrissy. Yeah. Oh, get in.
But it wasn't.
Twitches, yeah.
It wasn't properly wet, but it was just that horrible, like, sort of greasy conditions. But yeah, it's been all right. And I haven't really watched much of Superbikes, but I think people were in the sort of normal order, you would say, like where they're going to expect. Obviously, by the time this podcast goes out on late Sunday night or possibly early hours of Monday, the title will be decided. So I guess people will be listening to this knowing what the result is. Yeah. Who's your money on?
Who's my money on? No one cares what I think. What's Conor's opinion? Go on. Who's your money on?
Brutally honest, I think Taron. Personally, sound like a cop out now, but all them lads, incredible. The race has been incredible this year to watch. This is my 6th race that I've done this year. To watch them guys go around all the tracks that we've been to is incredible to watch, and that every fan, I bet, have really enjoyed being there and seeing it for themselves. And it's been close all the way, really, and it's been the spectacle's been there. But seeing how he has performed, I noticed really at Donington. I think he could be the man for the job. I'm
going Christian. I think Christian's 15 points behind, but I think he's got the momentum. And unlike, I think Taz and Jason have got quite a lot of expectation on them, because them two have been dominant this year over the season. So I think, especially saying that, watching Jason today, he looked really good. Taz looked good, but there's just something. I guess it's probably my heart ruling my head, and I just think it's perfect for Christian, where he's nobody's really expecting him to win it. I wouldn't say, but he's got everything there, and especially if the weather's a bit iffy, I think he's the man.
He's definitely the man for a gamble on a tyre.
And I think in terms of the fans' favourite, I think if Tommy Bridewell wins on Sunday, I think it'll just be scenes.
Yeah, and he cleared off at Alton, didn't he, in that race? That was the definition of domination. It was incredible ride, and it's difficult to actually pick one. I'm going to sound like I'm backtracking now, but
you've already picked, so
it is pretty much out of them four, isn't it? You also do have Hickman and Buchan, who are mathematically able to win, but very extremely unlikely.
A meteorite's going to have to hit the track for that situation, is it?
I mean, I watched, just to back the Yamaha thing up, and the two lads, we came and did this round last year, and our truck backs onto the back straight. You know what I mean? The behind the pits are rubbish.
Into Surtees. Would you like a drink, by the way?
Yeah, why not? Thank you very much.
Yeah, just along the back of the paddock into.
Get Alan on the phone.
Did I
Here we
just
go.
get that one
We
in?
need a
That's it, straight in there.
collab with coffee shops.
Good
Might be
idea.
able to stock up.
Got an espresso machine in it.
There you are. Oh, hey, oh, yes. Hold on. Don't knock that opportunity. Get a card.
Time for another announcement. Here's what we're going to do next year. I watched those two Yamaha lads last year, so Jason and Tarrant, and they just looked so fast. So I leading into this race this time round, I think they're looking strong personally. But I think Tarrant, and Jason, well, what a show he's put on. He's been incredible this year. Some rider.
Them Yamahas, like, because you've ridden Yamahas around the island, short circuits and everything. I think.
Yeah.
Would you like to get your leg over one of them? Like to have a curiosity?
No.
No.
I'm really, really content and happy with my bikes right now.
Yeah.
I'm just brutally honest, I'm not even curious about another brand, another bike. This new Honda Fireblade is just some piece of kit. And
Because you rode the NAF ones as well, haven't you?
well,
You
no,
tried, don't smile.
I'm gonna have a bit of drink now, I think.
Well, no, let's face it, right? They've never been NAF, but like this new Fireblade seems to have come out with an absolute right hook, hasn't it? It's just coming strong and strong.
We'll go back and talk about your career, but like you've been on the this year. Like what's been your impressions of like the new bike running with Clive?
The bike itself is superb, but the very fact that Clive Paget and the team are working their magic on it is really bringing the best out of the bike. Clive's experience is incredible, and that's why when we did the first race, this was our first race last year here, and that was the first time on the new blade, and
Jesus,
I was orange jacket job. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't pulling any rabbits off. And so Clive brought the bike to me so I could ride it, making it easier to ride. Whereas we did Cadwell was the first race we did this year. So I started to work into getting used to the bike and bringing more power back. But that's only because I've only been able to do that because Clive and the team have been able to, work their magic, and it's just a phenomenal bike now. And we're here at the last round at Brands, and I feel like I'm scratching. I'm not okay. I was 1.5 seconds off the fastest time today, but I'm not too disheartened by that. I'm reasonably happy with it, and it's probably the happiest I'll ever be with 22nd. But I'm realistic. But the bike is there for me now. I feel like I'm getting the best out of the stocker, and by Silverstone a couple of rounds ago, I was ready to go down Braille. I felt so comfortable with my bike, and that's for a couple of reasons. Clive's worked it. He's got it. He's brought it to me. The bike's fantastic, and I was up to speed. So,
do you think that'll be a weapon on the roads?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I mean, this arguably the super stock class hasn't been the strongest class for Honda for a few years.
Saying that, they brought a brand new bike out last year, and I was the only person to beat it without.
Sorry, I mean the previous model of Honda 5.
Oh, before last year, so like the 90.
No one was going near them at the moment. You know what I mean? Good bikes, but no one was actually thinking I must get one. But like you say, last season. Saying
that, I think, and Tom pretty much only obviously by the time this podcast out, people will know what this thing is. But he pretty much just has to finish on Sunday to win the championship. I think he's got 24 points. So like the only way that he can lose it is if he gets 0 points, and either Billy or Alex, I think, can both beat him if they win. Yep. So it's it's like very unlikely that he's not like Honda aren't going to win the championship this year,
which would be brilliant. Would be very, very good. So, but the new bike's class.
Because how long have you been on Honda now? Then see, we're doing this the wrong way around. We should have started at the beginning of your career. We're going to end up going backwards through time on this interview.
14 was the first.
Right.
2014. So that was when I rode for Honda and Lee Hardy for that year.
I keep forgetting Lee Hardy had a Honda thing. He's been Kawasaki branded for that long.
Yeah, it was had a good couple of years of Honda, and things change, things move on, don't they? And change of scenery. And I think it was 16. I went over to Clive for the 600 and Stocker, and then Honda with for for all the roads. Like, that was a bit of a mid-season swap though, which
Can't say too much about it.
no.
Yeah. We'll go back to the start of your career in just a second, but just before that, you were both away racing last weekend, or parading.
Yes. Hold on. There you go, my man. Delivered as promised. Straight up the. Look at the size of that.
How much are you for that then?
Anything, son. I was about to say, this is
tipped the table over that.
It's an audible show, and I've just slapped something on the table. Gone, look at the size of that. That was obviously his podium finishing bottle from Mete there.
Yeah.
And you do a bit of supermoto, don't you? How did that come about?
Quite right, that's it's nice.
Don't sound so surprised.
Yeah.
That. Oh God, sorry, can't continue. Yeah, so supermotoing, yeah.
Yeah, I've done a bit over the years. I was sort of late to it, really. I'd always fancied having a go, and I thought, right, bugger it. It was actually Dave Clark up in Preston there. He gave me a load of parts to build a Suzuki one year, and I just built it. Did a couple of Brit rounds, loved it. So I've just dabbled. I haven't really done it to any sort of degree.
Because on the Isle of Man, is there anything? Well, there's only the one circuit at Derby, isn't there? So there'll be no supermoto scene, shall I say? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, there's not any standout scene as such. It's like there's a few track days that happen,
right?
Which I'm glad they're there, because we've got a kart track. Excuse me.
Is that the one next to Derby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam Lowe's used to train there all the time, didn't he? On
that's
the little
right,
valley.
Yeah. It's a cracking little track. So. Yeah, that's what we used to go on the supermotos.
That's what I say. On the Isle of Man, there just seems to be all these secret weapons bombing around the place. Yourself, Cal Crutchlow, the Lows, like you just seem to be. Do you all just get together and just start smashing handlebars?
Is there much of a scene? Like, do the bike and people sort of stick together, or do you keep yourself to yourself, sort of thing?
He's busy making coffee shops.
I always keep my head down as best as I possibly can. Really. Yeah, that's not through being an awkward bugger, but
yeah. Do you socialise with any other riders, like away from racing?
It's occasionally. I mean, big family man. I love spending time with family, and but when we're over this side of the water, because obviously don't forget there's a 3.5 hour ferry journey across before you see another human. And it's so we'd go and spend a bit of time with John and Becky McGuinness and the family, and we've got on really well with them. They're good friends of ours, and so we spend a bit of time with those guys. Well, Lee and Christy, and it's we've got some good friends over here. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, I think we should, jump in the meta thing, a little bit more. But I think it turned into a bit of a carnage. I'll tell you, you've done it before though, haven't you? And you went over with a bit more of an ambition.
Yeah, I think it's better to call it an attempt as opposed to actually riding, because it ended in tears. Yeah, I went over the last time it ran there a couple of years ago, and didn't quite figure out how to shut the throttle off, and had a big one.
But bear in mind, in Mete, so there was this is so cringy to say this, but they had a legends race, didn't they?
Yeah.
We pulled up, so I picked up Connor, we're out the hotel, we drived up, and there's this Belgian fellow who can't speak a word of English, and he goes there, he points, he goes, TT Legend, and there's me and Joe Ackroyd going, what a dick you sound right now.
I'm actually pointing at you two guys.
Have a word with yourself. Have a word with yourself. But I'll tell you what, thing is, we turned up, so they had this legends race, and then they had the prestige, which Davy Todd and all them. So Connor, his first year, he didn't turn up for the legends race. You actually turned up and jumped straight in the deep end, with no armbands whatsoever, were you? You were straight in there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been too, but I think I'd have done okay if I'd have got around, no problem at all. But I was actually over there to do the TM thing.
Right.
That was the main reason why I was there, and I just got giddy when I was there. Oh, can I get a hold of a bike? And I wouldn't mind having you see everyone having a ride round, you think, I want a bit of that. So thankfully, the organisers got a hold of a bike, and I wrecked it.
I tell you what though, right? We had what was it? This is terrible. Christian Inn came on. He was talking about Mete, and he was saying you've got to go and do it. Honestly, it's mental, man. You've got people turn one, right? Is a petrol, a total petrol station, deck chairs. Everyone's smoking, but the pump's still live. just eating, drinking beer, and the
Yeah,
crowd was insane, wasn't it? You literally. Now we obviously do like roads and stuff like that, and you get close to people. You don't get as close as that. There is not a road circuit alive that you get that close to people. Literally, people like smacking.
Well,
me on
they're
the
even
head,
closer to my head, weren't they?
just a touch. That's it, time. But honestly, it was unreal.
Is
Absolutely.
there quite a lot of TT fans out in Belgium?
Yeah. There's loads. You see, there was plenty of TT t-shirts
And
knocking around, weren't
jackets
they?
and all sorts, man. It was mental.
And because we were obviously hovering around the TM tent where our bikes were at, and there was always people floating around, wasn't there, and asking for photos and whatnot. And it was nice to do that because you're in a foreign country and you never quite know where we all sort of fit in. And next thing is people asking for photos, autographs, and whatnot. It was really nice, and it was important for us to put on a bit of a show, and that's what we did. It was good crack, and it was important to do that. So,
Do you know back home on the island, do you get stopped for like sort of pictures and autographs quite often?
Only by the Inland Revenue.
Like, do people come to shops and ask for pictures? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or do they look at you like,
I mean,
just
in terms
a
of, like-
postman these days and just
Yeah.
go, oh, there's Conor again.
In terms of like Manx athletes, you must be like quite, like people over there are. If you're into the TT, there's like not blowing smoke up your ass, but you're like one of the big cheeses, aren't you? So.
the TT is, everyone knows TT and L, man. And people love it. People love who do it, and they're keen to support you as well. And I get a load of support. Obviously, I'm from them. We get huge support. So I do get stopped. Not gonna lie, I do get stopped, and it's important for us as TT riders, etc., just to put some time back into the people who support us on track. Because it's good for TT, it's good for us, and it's a part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't get me wrong, it's not like I go out my way to get stopped or anything like that. But it's nice to bump into TT fans and have a conversation with them.
Yeah. Mint.
I can just see a set of traffic lights.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, you've obviously... No, sorry, it's red Conor. I was stopped, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, speaking of the TT, and that's where you're from, I think it's only about time that we got straight into how on earth did Conor Cummins become the man you are today? How did motorcycle start for you?
Well...
When you were 3 foot?
Yeah,
2
never
foot?
been 3 foot. I was into motocross when I was 4. Mum and Dad, probably the standard crack now. It's like Mum and Dad bought me a bike, and that's how I got into it. That's exactly how it happened to me. And
Without sounding stupid, Manx born and bred, right? Yeah,
Manx born and bred. Yep.
So,
Yep.
like getting into motocross over there, how many tracks on?
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few. It was all scrambling back then. It wasn't quite motocross is all like whips
Corporate.
and stuff now, and I can't do that. So that's how I got into it, really.
I can think of do you know Max Ingham? He's just come over. Yeah. He's a top motocross rider. And
I think he's here this weekend.
Yeah, he's debuting in Superstock 600 today. Like today was his first time out,
Right.
but I think it's his first year on tarmac, full stop.
Yeah.
Steve Brogan's sort of looking
is
after
that
him.
lad?
Yeah, and he's debuting in Stock 600 also. Cal Cooper, I used to race against him.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
big into motocross. I think he was like a top British standard motocross, and again from the island.
Yeah, Cal was exceptionally good. Motocross and road racing as well.
Yeah.
He was front running super sport at a time as well. So yeah, very good. And
I remember watching him clear off in Stock 600 here on Craig Fitzpatrick's bike.
that's right. Yeah.
And then he never really made the step up and ended up I don't know if he fell out of love with the sport or whatever, but he was definitely, like, of the people coming through, he was as good as anybody.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah. And Max as well. Phenomenal motocross rider. I was on a trip out in Spain with him a couple of 3 years ago. Very, very talented, and I don't see why he couldn't be good at road racing as well.
It just seems like one of them places that you're kind of you're insular to everyone else in the Isle of Man. So it's a bit like anyone who remotely shows form, capable of being running at the front, either motocross or any discipline. How quickly do you decide as a family to go off island, or did you ever go off island with motocross, or was it all just at home?
It was only to do like the odd club round, because it's easy to forget to get off the Isle of Man. I mean, way back then, was way back then for me now. It cost it's a huge commitment financially just to get off the Isle of Man. You know, because if you think about it, like so my mum and dad, me and my sister. You know, there's the ferry journey, because I didn't get support back then. It was right at the start, so why should I? But it was just before we got to the mainland, we'd already had a massive financial commitment, you know, hotels and all the rest of it. So that was, and will always be, really, for people starting out, a bit of a hurdle to get over.
It's like you say, that list of names like Nathan Harrison as well. That that list of names that have come off Isle of Man. It's you have to commit early and quickly,
absolutely. And there's not always the support there to get off and follow your dreams and whatnots. But from the Isle of Man, there's always been talent making that trip across the water. Cycling, athletics. You know, there's always been athletes coming from the Isle of Man and making it.
Always seems on that little bit of a back foot just for the travel side of it. So
but I think that it certainly drove me to always try and do my best, you know, because there's always that commitment before you even step foot over here. I think it gives us extra drive. So I think that's what's happened.
And from starting out a little bit of sort of scrambling, what was the changeover to tarmac?
Well, when the ACU relaxed their rules, so back then you could be like 15 and you could do road racing, and there's certain rules, great. But then at that time, just as I was turning 13, they relaxed it so 13-year-olds could road race, and this is brilliant. So that's when I jumped on a 125. I know it's hard to believe. And I got going on a 125, so that's where it all sort of kicked off.
At what age do you max out in height-wise?
I like to think it stopped.
You're still growing, son. You're a growing lad. There you go. Yeah. What age did you max out, seriously, in height-wise? Because I'm trying to picture a CONOR CUMMINS on a 125 here, and you're literally the 2 metre man. So
I think I was probably about 18.
Right. Jesus.
What are you now,
6'4"?
6'4"?
Yeah.
I think it must be there's no one taller doing the TT, is there?
Don't think so. No. So there you go. There's another accolade.
I tell you what, you get well tucked in for 6'4", mind. No, when you think, like, if you're stood next to Lee Johnson, there's like a huge.
Well, there's been the odd picture.
Did you see that picture with Phil Crow with Lee when he's picking him up?
He looks like a parrot.
They did a thing with because they're both RST sponsored riders at the time. I know Lee's moved now, but they did a thing on the start line in the TT where Phil had him picked up, and he was literally like he just looked like a small child. And it's obviously just with Phil being so big, it makes him look so small. But it's funny. The so from the 125. When you first got onto tarmac, did you have in the back of your mind one day like the picture of the TT, or did you have like aspirations of going to like Grand Prix or British Championships or stuff like that, or has it always been road racing from the start?
No, it was never road racing, never. I'd always fancied going as far as I possibly could on circuits, and I'd just big aspirations to be. That's what I was going to do as a job and all that sort of stuff, and that's where I was going. And I suppose you have to have that anyway to want to achieve anything, really. You've got to have goals, haven't you? And I went on to 600 when I was 16 with a local sponsor, Wilson and Collins, on the Isle of Man. There was like a 600 Kawasaki. Because I was born in TT, but when I turned 16, Desi Collins said, right, you can have a go on that if you want. So this Super Sport 600 bike, first 4-stroke I've ever ridden.
So 125 onto this.
Yeah. And it was amazing. I felt at home straight away on a 600. And then so I got to race that for the rest of the year. So I was like 16-year-old. I was like, this is mega. But in the same race meetings I was doing locally on the island at Derby there.
Right.
I'd race a 125 and this 600 and opposite shift. So between each bike, caught me out a couple of times, but we got over that little hurdle. But I just felt totally at home on a 600. So that's where I sort of focused on going with my racing on a 4-stroke. And then the following year, when I was 17, we got an ex Peter Baker 600 Honda, and we just did that. And then that following year, R6 Cup.
Right, so this was your first step into British with the R6 Cup side of things.
But so when I had my own bike, we'd go and try and do as many circuits as possible.
Right.
So we did like Silverstone, we did Cadwell. Again, it was what we could afford at the time, and we just committed to doing that. And then this R6 Cup thing in 2003, it was its first year, so we'd watched it on TV, and then we thought, right, well, let's try and gather up a few spondoolies and get an entry in. So that's what we did.
We had Rob Mack on the podcast a while ago. Which sort of names were in the championship the year that you did it?
Richard Wren won it that year. Adam Jenkinson, Gareth Glynn, Ollie Bridewell. Yeah, it was really competitive.
You still got your jacket?
Probably somewhere.
Somewhere, as I was about to say, every R6 Cup rider, it's like the Illuminati bombing around the paddock.
Yeah,
oh yes,
yeah.
that was part of the cult.
Yeah.
Part of the cult. There we go.
Ian Lowry was another one. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, like even before all this, so you come from pedigree stock, don't you? Your dad races motorcycles.
My old man, yeah, he still does a bit.
He still does a bit?
Yeah, he's got
Good lad.
TZs and stuff. He's a big two-stroke man.
Is that Billy, your dad?
Billy, yeah.
So did he disown you when you went, I like me four-stroke? Did he just go, right, son, if you're big enough and brave enough to say that, out me house?
That's the one, yeah. Get on a TZ 350. No, he... That's where I've... Like, my dad raced since he was 16 years of age, and then my uncle, Tynan, he did Newcomers Manx and Manx Grand Prix, and now my uncle Lawrence, he does club racing as well, so you often find my dad and my uncle Lawrence having ding-dongs on the track. It's actually quite entertaining to watch. So, but yeah, our family just loves bikes. Yeah.
What did your dear mother say when you went? You know, you've come back, you've got back on the bike and gone, oh, this is a bit of me. Did her face drop a little? Or was she all... well done, through gritted teeth. Yeah,
she's my mum's ace. She's really been a rock all through my life, really.
Aye.
But no, it was more of a downer for her. Maybe not downer's maybe the wrong word, but that was when the shock kicked in when I said, right, I'm going to do TT. You know, Northwest was the first one, and then TT came about us. Yeah, that was a big shock for her.
So, you went to the R6. So, how did you get on in your first year at like a British level at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it was standard bikes, standard tyres, and all the rest of it. One make series, and it was good. You know, when you just when I rattled off that list of names there, you know, there's some top,
no mugs
top
there,
doers,
like.
Yeah. Well, I had 2 podiums, and then I bust my ankle that year as well at Alton Park. But it was a strong field to have a couple of podiums, and I was chuffed. Mm-hmm. You know.
So being like a local lad, was it quite easy? And you're on the podium at British level. Was sponsorship coming in a little bit easy at that point, or was it always been a struggle at that point?
It was always a struggle because you're just starting out, really.
Yes,
no one has a clue who you are, and not that I expected them to either. But it was difficult. It was difficult, but we made it work. You know, sold a few bikes and got a bit of sponsorship from like friends, you know, who wanted to see me do well. And we also had there's Isle of Man Sport, who back then they chucked a couple of quid in just so I could get across the water, you know.
Which is good, aye.
You know, make them ferry journeys, which are costing a few quid to do. So it was all good. It made it work anyway. It made it happen, and then we all jumped in the van as a family and went to the race meetings.
And then, like you say, you told you. So how did the decision come about? Like Chrissy was asking before, how did the decision come to go to the TD Northwest?
Well, that year, the R6 Cup year, I broke my ankle at Alton. That was 2004. I was in a cast and on crutches, and me, my dad, and my cousin Danny and his granddad jumped in a little single prop plane, flew from Andreas in the Isle of Man into a place called Castle Rock, which was a real sketchy landing, might I add. And it was, and then we stayed at the hangar and went to the Northwest 200 to watch. So we were going around the coast road there towards the finish line.
Aye.
On my crutches, and I was these bikes coming past. I was thinking, this is a bit of me. this is awesome. And I actually considered putting an entry in for 05 on a bike, but I was talked out of it by a sponsor, rightfully so. I was really young at that stage. Like, anyway, I waited another 12 months and stuck an entry. I was 19 when I did my first Northwest 200 on an R1.
And that was the first taste of like pure road racing.
Yeah, that was a massive eye opener. But I thought I felt so comfortable on a road race.
Yeah,
and it was my own bike, and it was a real, like, we were scratching. You know, it was in the back of a beaten up old Sprinter van. Me and my granddad went over. A mate of ours, Nigel Neal, helped out as well, and then my dad as well during the week. And it was just a real sort of, you know, grassroots sort of effort just to go and race the Northwest 200. And as I say, I was 19, and it was unbelievable.
Was this your first taste of 1000cc as well?
Well, I bought it at the end of 05. It was an 05 R1.
Yeah.
And
who did you buy it off by any chance?
I know, it was off-road track.
Oh,
Motorcycles
right.
and a Health Man,
Right.
and a Yamaha dealership. And then so we built it up, got it on the road, well, on the track, and then we actually came to Donington Park. So I did a couple of races at Derby because I thought I need to ride.
Yeah.
And then
Sensible Connor's kicking in.
yeah. And then we came to Donington Park, did a try to qualify for a British Superstock round in the thousands, and we never qualified. We were just outside the qualification, but it was me and my old man on the back of a Transit, you know, proper scratching again. And then but that got me up to speed, which this class does. You know, bloody hell, it's incredibly competitive. And not that you need to get up to speed, by the way. Just a little footnote there. Bloody hell. Give me one of them cans.
Come on, Chrissy, pick up the pace, son. Tell you what, hand me one, actually. I'm dying of thirst. 8 hours to get here. I'm dying of thirst here. There you go. Good man. Thank you. So Chrissy needs to get up to speed.
Yeah. A few pointers.
give us a talk tomorrow.
If you don't ride past him and tap the tail unit, there'd be something wrong there.
Oh, man.
I'll be mint.
Yeah. So yeah, we never qualified for that, but it got me up to speed, and then went to Northwest 200 like a month later, and that's literally where my road race career kicked off, because we had a 9th in the Superstock race, 14th in the Superbike. I really enjoying myself, and the results were good. And then a team called Team Racing, ran by a guy called Sam Finley. He said, right, we'll run you at the TT. So it was like 2 weeks later, I had a full ride with this. You know, it was on my bike. They ran me in their colours, but it was all put on for me. You know, before that, it was a case of we were going to do at the TT what we did at the Northwest.
Just turn up and scratch it and see what happens from there.
Have a go.
And sort of, do you know, in today's world where if you apply to be a newcomer at the TT, it's like you get well like trained up before your first ever lap. You've got like hundreds of laps in this cars. You like get talked through loads of laps, all of that sort of stuff. Between you putting an entry in for the TT and doing your first lap, did you have much preparation?
Not to the tune of how it gets done now.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get. I mean, I only lived down the road anyway. It wasn't like, right, we're going to take you out. You've got to do these laps and all the rest of it. It was literally, I took it upon myself because I thought, I don't actually know the track. It wasn't until I actually entered. I thought, I know where the track goes, but I don't know it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what.
In terms of like braking markers and bumps and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's totally different. So I was working for Lloyd's Bank in Douglas. So I live in the north of Ramsey. So what my plan was,
How did you become a hold on, you were a banker?
Yeah.
How do you even become it? Like, can we go down that route? Is that like how the hell on earth
I'd
do you
rather
become
not.
a banker? Fair enough. Then.
No, I'm joking.
That's a fair.
It was. I needed a few quid.
Yeah.
It was a job at the end of the day, and it helped pay a few bills when I was going racing.
There we are. Simple as that.
So just sat in the bank.
So, like you say, you had that. Like, you must have had a list of names that you could have picked up and just gone. I'll ask for a lap off him, and him. Or was that not the
No,
case?
not really a list. No, I went round with two guys, Nigel Beattie, who's another top road racer
Yeah.
from the Isle of Man, and Milky Quayle. So jumped in a couple of laps there, but it was more just pointers. Here's what to look out for, and then because I was working in Douglas, I was doing a lap a day, drive from my home in Ramsey over the mountain to Douglas, and then finish a lap back home overnight time. So I was doing a lap every day, so it was going in. And that's how I learned.
Do you know when you live over on the island? Obviously, the novelty for us when we get over there is the no speed limits between sort of villages or whatever. That there's nowhere in that where we live like that. So it's like you've got to kind of make the most of it while you're there.
Yeah.
When you live there, like presumably, as soon as you pass your test, the first thing you do is like, do you like go and like flog car like proper?
Yeah,
You can't on the Isle of Man. You get a thing called an R plate.
What,
In your
when you
first year,
pass?
so when you
Yeah,
first
yeah,
place,
yeah.
you get an R plate, and you can't. Is it 50 mile an
you're
hour
restricted to 50 mile an hour.
everywhere?
Right. Oh, so the year after you sort of make good use of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, and it's it's not.
Have you got any good stories from that side of things?
No,
What's the most high
No,
performance
no.
car you've been in around, like done a lap in, where you've been driving?
Wow, yeah.
No one's been stupid enough to give me a
Really?
fast car, to be honest. I went round as a passenger. I was asked if I fancy going for a lap in a GT40, is it? This big fancy American muscle car or whatever. And I thought, oh great, he's going to let me have a drive at this. Turned up in the passenger seat. I was so let down. But yeah, that was probably the nicest car I've been around the track in.
This bloke's probably trying his hardest, screeching the wheels, and he's going, come on, son, put the toe down.
Twiddling the thumbs like.
That's it. Bored off your rocker.
Cars don't do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Really do not. Bikes are my thing.
I tell you what, though, I wouldn't mind having a go, like even being a passenger in that, that Subaru lap. They stopped that for a few years. Is it like a one?
Yeah, I think it's gone. I think it's gone forever, that.
Is it? Why is that then?
I don't know why, but I think it's sort of it's course cars now, isn't it? And that's what that's the primary function of them, really. They've
I
just got to look
suppose
after the course.
Because he did a 127, didn't he? Or was it even faster? than
Yeah, that was Mark Higgins.
Unbelievable.
Jesus wept.
Do you know, like for example, in lockdown, it must be so nice to just like sort of clear your head one night and be able to actually do a lap of that. Like when you think of all the people like in the UK and like the things that are sat there and they can't do anything, you must be so. You feel like so lucky to have that on your doorstep, and like you just need, work's getting a bit on top of you. You can just get a bike out and do a lap of the TT.
No.
Well, it would have been nice. However, they slapped the 40 mile an hour speed limit on the island.
You're joking.
So, yeah.
For
'Cause
lockdown?
If you think about it, the last thing they need is people being in hospital.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like,
Very inconsiderate of me to think I'd even do such a thing.
but
Oh shit.
Yeah, it makes sense, obviously, if you think about it. Like
Yeah.
the
still
really
crap, though,
really pushed for hospital beds. The last thing
Yeah.
is Connor.
yeah, that would definitely make the headlines. Like, but,
Here's a question. You riding it on a road bike, does that slow you down? Because every time, like, something like, no.
That was such a stupid thing for me to ask. I'm like, thinking to myself, why have I just said that?
No, to be fair though, I've been doing the same.
I'm trying to think of a really polite answer. Just that's the best I can come out with.
But no, like riding a road bike. If I ride a road bike, when I came down, we did Dean Harrison's interview. I rode the bike and I went, you know what? This is no advantage gained from doing this. Just steady away. And next time I got back on a circuit, you've got a pair of handlebars in you, and you almost got a bit of a shock initially, for that speed side of things. So you go around. Do you have a road license on a bike?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you do many laps just to keep your hand in?
No, I don't like riding on the road. I got my license. I can't remember when it was. 08 maybe, because you had to have it to go and do track days back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some weird rule at the time, and that's why I got it. But that was the only reason why I got it. Like, I can't stand riding on the road. It really, because there's so many plonkers that are gonna pull out of a road end, and I'd rather just stay away from it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. So where did we get to then? Where did we get to? Your
First
first
TT.
TT.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So your first lap without following somebody, can you remember it like really clearly?
Yeah. well, just before that,
It's obviously very
I
memorable.
had a really big scare on the newcomers lap, and I just totally by coincidence, it's right where I lived on the track, and I had this real thing in my head. Right, get this right, because don't look silly. But because the damper is so slack, because it come from circuits, and I didn't know any better, there's like a little divot before Milltown jump there.
Oh, aye.
And I had a big tank slapper, and I shat myself, and didn't do that again. That was a proper moment. But then we got back to the paddock, and that was it, out on your own, and it was weird. It was like everything just went a bit quiet. I was like totally tuned in, and I loved it. Honestly, I always have that feeling.
It is unreal. I tell you what, that right beforehand, Milltown jump, that left, when you enter it.
Yeah, the cottage.
The cottage on the right, I tell you what, I had the nearest full-on stirrups, like, when you're like, the back just totally let go, fully extended.
Yeah,
and I clipped the curb on the exit, and the bike came back to me.
Shit.
That's probably I tell you what, that is actually my biggest near miss around the Isle of Man. Touch wood, for the love of God.
Yeah,
but it's like, it's just totally blind, mate. Like, when you've got on short circuits, blind entries, around there, it's just...
Well, it's dark, isn't it? Because it's all overgrown with trees and easy to get. You can get it dead wrong there.
Massively. So how many nights do you how many nights does it take you to get not up to pace, but like that initial, the white in your eyes? For me, it's 3 nights.
Yeah, I don't
like to properly to go right. I know comfortably where I am. This is me talking. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just wondering how long it takes you.
I would say it probably won't be too far away from that, to be honest. I think the first night is always like that is the whites of your eyes, because you're getting so used to it again. You've come from somewhere like here where it's wide open. Excuse me.
COVID. Did you pass that test when you got back? Lock the door.
And you have to be so like you go after one night, you think, right, okay, you've got a feel, haven't you?
Aye.
And next night it's like, right, okay, let's relax a bit more, and probably night 3 is probably everything, like all these sort of the apprehension and whatnot is probably gone.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
And results wise for your first TT, what was your best lap speed, and what were your results?
COVID.
I had a best finish as 17th in the senior, and at the time it was 120 mile an hour lap.
Right.
In your first year?
First time straight in at 17th out of like how many entries is in the senior?
Well, I had
at the time that would have been 80.
Yeah, my number was 82.
There we are.
But I didn't start there. I think I started 32. Got moved
So
up.
you were quite I guess seeded 1 to 20 are permanent. So after that, it doesn't matter where you qualify. So after that, it matters where you qualify, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you were quite down the pecking order, really, there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Hold on. It was your first year.
Right.
Jesus,
You're 100% right. And it was dead right, because I didn't want any of that. Like, I'm from the Isle of Man. I'm doing the biggest road race in the world, arguably. The last thing I needed as a then just turned 20-odd years of age lad is a lot of pressure, being a local, a lot of expectation and stuff. I was doing radio interviews, not as huge, but for someone who hadn't done that, the last thing I wanted was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So that's why it was good to have that number, and it's also the reason why I didn't do the Manx Grand Prix.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
I just wanted to totally fade out and just do my own thing and just
learn your trade sort of in the back.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I did, and it's done all right.
And from so was that 07 your first year at the TT? 06. And when you think about it, like obviously I remember watching you sort of 09, 010.
Yeah.
There was a very fast rise from where 120 mile an hour to where you were like only a few years later.
Yeah.
So did you do that at like incrementally, or did you take a big step 1 year in a row?
So
go.
Sorry, number 84. What was your number the following year? You wouldn't have been seeded at that point.
I think they gave me 07. I think they gave me something like 20 or something like that.
So you are seeded then?
Well, it was prior to all that seeding stuff coming in,
Right.
so it was just like your number, and that was it. Didn't really matter,
Right.
speed wise.
So when did the seeded situation
It's quite a recent thing.
Is it?
Mm,
Right. Do you believe in it? Do you think it's a
Yeah.
good thing?
yeah,
Because you've been down the road as number one. How many times have you been down the road?
Twice.
Twice. Is that? Sorry, I'm jumping questions here.
That's
Sorry,
right.
they are. So, how good is it? How bad is it going off as number one?
It's,
Do you choose to do it?
yeah. I wanted to do it. Yeah,
Right.
I've been 2, 7, 10, and I thought, right, I'm gonna, because to me it was always like, I wonder what it's like going off at 1. So I thought,
The rabbit scarer.
Yeah, and yeah, there's all that, all these myths and stuff like that. But I don't know. I want to try it.
It must be a hell of a special feeling
yeah.
starting the most. Yeah,
Because usually when I was like, number 82 or whatever it was, you're always waiting for the first bite to set off, and it's right, I'll get my lid on and get ready. Like, you are setting that sort of all those feelings off, and it was I've gone from one extreme to the other, and it's a unique feel.
For example, if you were going out and you were wanting your best chance to win a TT or to get the best result possible or the best speed,
Yeah.
would you like to pick somebody to chase, or
Aye.
would you prefer to be?
Do
Do you think running number one gives you the best chance?
I don't know. It's a bit of a funny one. I think to be able to go off at 1, and don't get me wrong, plenty of lads have done it, and know that you're going to be the one to win it. You've got to be so confident, and you've got to be the form
Who's
man on the day.
Who was the last person? The last person I know to do that was John McGuinness.
That's right. Yeah, 15, wasn't it?
15, and that was the last person to do it. Like speaking of mine, it's having that rabbit to chase. You see, Michael Dunlop, has he ever been down number 1?
I don't think he has, no.
So he's normally 6, and like you say, there's almost that borderline, that little bit of tactics, isn't there, where people are. Now, I don't know how the number picking thing. Do you get like, right, Connor? Here's your numbers. Is that an option when you're seeded?
No, you don't really get to pick where you go. You just sort of like, there's always a conversation going on. I'd like to go roughly here, there, or whatever, but that changes year on year.
Yes,
But no, we
let the
as far as I'm
choose.
aware, let the organisers have all make the decisions. But yeah.
Because like I personally, I would love to go down the road as number 1, especially in my stage of my career. Because everyone that would pass us is going to teach me something. You know what I mean? So it's like, now looking at Hillier, I'm not like, when Hillier was in like the 15s and stuff like that, his progression was steady, but he actually went off number 1 quite early in his career.
Yeah.
And the second he went off number 1, his lap speeds went from 27s to 31s, 32s rapidly. You know what I mean? Was that a case for yourself? Was that like going off number 1? How much did you learn? How quickly? Or were you up to a pace at that point?
I was up to a pace, and I haven't really gone. I've gone. Don't get me wrong, I have gone faster. And I've done my best lap in 2:19 at the last TT.
Right.
That's right, isn't it? 2:19.
Yeah, because that was like the damn horrible one as well. Not many people went quicker that year.
And I did my best lap in that. I think it was a senior race. So
Fair play, mate.
But yeah, and I'm
On the
still
old
need
fire
to.
blade.
Yeah, and I need to find a good chunk again to make that next step. But that's why we're here, doing this next year.
So in terms of just going back to from 120, did you like the next year? Was it like a sort of 124, 125?
I think I did a 126 was my best that second year.
So you found like 6 mile an hour in 1 year.
Yeah, and then so 08 I had a diabolical year, was breaking down in races and stuff, and then 9 that's my first year with McAdoo.
Was 09 the year that you went to the Ulster Grand Prix and properly like cleared off?
Yeah,
I remember the 133 mile an hour you did there.
that's right.
And
In qualifying that was really.
Jesus Webs.
Yeah, absolutely annihilated. Absolutely annihilated. Like a strong field there as well.
It was strong. Yeah.
What was that? Did you just click with the team, click with the bike, and just sort of feel a bit? You must have felt pretty good.
My superbike was, I would say, stand out. It was a really,
I was
really
about to say
strong.
standard there. I'm like, no, it wasn't. So.
It was a really strong bike. Winston McAdoo was brilliant to me. All the family were great to me, and all the team. So they really gave me everything I wanted, and that bike was so strong. We went to the Ulster that year, and I mean, even the Northwest that year. I think, where did we finish? We were strong. We were strong, and then they had a good TT09, yeah. TT09. It was a really good year. We on the box in the superbike race.
So
senior race actually.
So leading up to 2009, were you still trying to do British, or what was your plan of attack between this? You know, like for training or practice.
So when was that? Sorry.
Like up to 2009, were you still doing British at this point? Or?
Yeah. So 2008, I was doing full on super stock on a Yamaha, and then I jacked that team 3/4 of the year, and that's when I went to McAdoo. So
right.
That's when that fairy tale sort of kicked in, really. So
yeah,
and I continued to do British in the super stock class. So, and then 2009, we had a good year on the first of the cross plane Yamahas.
Oh yes,
we had a couple of like top fives and whatnot, like Knockhill and whatnot. It was strong. It's always been a strong class, though, and it's been really strong. And then 10, we're dicing for podiums and bits and pieces right up to TT that year, and yeah.
And obviously going into the TT, really unlucky in the first big bike race that year.
Yeah.
Remember, you were leading by like 20 seconds at one point, weren't you?
Yeah.
And the bike wouldn't start in the pit stop, and then I think it went to like a 4-second lead or something. And then
That's right. Yeah.
Did you clutch go or something like that?
Well, I had no clutch really from lap 2. So I did that race lap record, not the outright lap record, from a standard start in the superbike race.
What was that then?
31.5.
Jesus wept, young.
But it's a good while ago now.
11 years ago.
Yeah, which is still a decent lap, now.
I'd give the rest of me left arm for that thing, I'm telling you.
But yeah, lap 2, the clutch was goosed.
Because that was the year that movie was made, wasn't it?
Yeah, you just couldn't have made it up, could you?
That you couldn't have, like, could you?
But yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, and obviously the crash later on in that TT
crash?
Was
no one's seen it before.
Yeah,
so.
It's like I remember going to watch that movie, and went to watch it in Newcastle, a big sort of theatre, and I bet every single person that watched that crash, there's like a massive like gasp, like a type of thing, and then the movie goes really quiet, and it's like very dramatic.
Yeah.
I guess people must ask you all the time about it and stuff, but like it's unbelievable that you like came through it. And
it's
amazing you're sucking in air after that.
That's it, yeah. It was, there's no one more surprised than I was really after seeing the actual footage.
I was going to say, can you remember it? Can you
No, I remember. My last thing I remember was getting my last pit board over the mountain from my Uncle Tynham. I was at the Gooseneck.
Oh yes,
After that it's blank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then hospital, and that was it, really. Yeah. Start of it all.
First memory waking up in the hospital, John.
Yeah, well, I knew I was absolutely written off. I wasn't really able to.
Putting it politely, that. Yeah, there we are.
I wasn't getting up in a hurry. But one of the first things I asked, because I knew that race, it was like there was myself, Hutchie, and John was sort of tussling out a little bit. It was like 3 seconds was covered to 3 of us, I think. And anyway, I went down, and but the first thing I asked when I sort of came round was I catching him? that was all I was bothered about. I couldn't get a shit. That was arms and bits, and but it was shaping up to be a good. I was more disappointed about that, really. One thing injuring yourself, but it's a shame, really, because it was one of them sort of what could have been. But well.
Just one
Shit
of those.
does happen, doesn't it?
It's one of the.
Do you know, like nowadays when you say drive over the mountain, like when you go past that corner, and is it a reminder? Like, do you think about it much, or is it just do you just park it to one side?
No, the first. Sorry, go on.
No. Sorry, I was just about to say. You know when you. Because I go around that corner and like on the footage almost makes it worse than it is. You know, like the TT thing, because they zoom in on the cat's eyes, and every time I'm going around the veranda 4, it's like I'm like, stay away from the cat's eyes. Now, in your opinion, what like it's like the shock offloads, and you're thinking like around there, you even on like I've never been around a super bike, I've been around a stocker, and even then you're like fully stretched, aren't you? And you just tip, and it's just because you have the feel of the camber. But when you watch that footage, it just woof. It's a bit of a weird one. What do you think happened?
Well, I know for a fact the wind played a huge part in it.
Yes.
I had I sort of clearly I was beaten up, and I was like, right, get fixed, and then we'll think about what happened after. You know what I mean? It didn't really do me any favours to think about it.
Yes,
but what I did do, I got the footage from the guys who took it, North One, I think. And I took it. I went down to see Chris Palmer, because he's a good friend of mine.
Ask him about a pint glass.
Maybe not.
Yeah, no. You ask him about next time. I'm going to introduce you to Chris Palmer, and you ask him about a pint glass. I'm so glad he laughed, because I thought that was it's like watching a car crash, Chrissy. It's magical. Anyway, continue.
After 9 o'clock.
The watershed, bro.
Yeah. But I took this footage down, and I wanted to sort of get a bit of closure on it. So he, experienced guy, I thought he's definitely the one to have a chat with. So we sat and watched it, and it was so weird seeing it. It was like I wasn't watching me. Mm-hmm. I knew it was me, but I was like, that's not me. It felt so
that
strange.
Didn't happen, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was that. And then after all of the filming that we did for the Closer to the Edge film, I actually met the marshal, a guy called Mike Clegg, who was on the corner that I crashed on, and he's from Laxey, which is just down the valley from where I actually went off the bloody mountain.
Yeah.
And he said that I actually was bang on line, didn't do anything wrong. He said, but right at the time that you came around the corner, the wind picked up. It was quite strong, and he said it went really cold.
See, my dad, unfortunately, he's had two issues around that. Like an SV 650, you know, it's not the mountain box. No, anyway, it's like you've cut the mountain mile, can't go over right, and you know that lovely like 4 apex left. You know, when you tip it at the second, go out wide, come back in. And my dad was on my SV 650. He came around there. Now they red flagged the session just beforehand because the wind picked up. I can't remember what year it was, and it came round, and the wind just snapped the front from him. And that's where the valleys open up.
That's right.
It comes straight through. And bearing in mind, my dad's a little bit heavier than him on a slower, lower bike, if you know what I mean. So it's like that. I can totally back that up, and so can my dad. Just the front went bang straight from.
What were your injuries from that?
So I had 5 fractured vertebrae in my back. 2 were unstable, so I had to have rods and screws. Shattered humerus. I had a nerve palsy, when they called it. So it put me wrist to sleep. And then I had a dislocated knee. But it's just ripped all the tendons, ligaments and stuff. So I was actually quite lucky to keep my lower leg, because when it happened, it was like the guy tended to me on the track or the mountain. He
halfway down to Laxey, so now
he said he couldn't feel a pulse in my foot, because he said that's how he noticed. That's how he noticed my knee was dislocated. So he had to pop it back in, and I had a fractured pelvis.
Wow.
Which one gives you the most bother now? Because you're like mostly Wolverine now. You're like a Marvel.
I don't
superhero.
really have any bother with them at all.
Good.
I mean, the one I have bother with at the minute, I've got a bit of an issue with my pelvis.
Yeah.
When I slipped off the Ulster a couple of years ago at the hairpin, it was wet, it was damp, and I slipped off. My fault.
Yeah.
Just it's a silly mistake, and then unfortunately Peter had nowhere to go, and he ran over my pelvis, and had like a balloon on my hip for that gives me aggro.
And obviously picking up the kids every day.
Yeah.
God,
Does.
I love you, darling, but I'm going to put you back down.
That's the only one I have aggro with.
Right, there we are. Sorry, Chris, you were saying.
In terms of recovery time, what was your recovery like?
I was back on a bike in 9 months.
9 months, wow. From that crash, that's unbelievable. Isn't it? And it's maybe a difficult question to answer, I suppose, but during the time that you were recovering, did you use getting back onto a bike as a motivation, or did you have times where you thought, nah, that's it, I'm not doing this again?
No, I knew I wanted to get back on the bike.
Really?
100%. And it was only going to be something physical that was going to stop me. Because I had that much going on with injuries. It was always like, I mean, I had to train to be able to do that again. And that was obviously, you need to do that for the clutch. I couldn't change gear properly because my big toe, because of all that happened with my leg, I couldn't lift my foot up.
Jesus.
So I could hardly change gear. It was all a bit of to get me sat on the bike, it was a bit of a hash, but getting to that point of being sat on a bike again was my target, and that's what got me going.
In 9 months, that is incredible, though.
Yeah.
When you think of that,
it was a big ask, but we did it. Surgeons were brilliant. My family, friends, of course, but and my physio, Kath Davis.
I tell you what, I'm going to throw this fact in here. He had it was a very short drive for me, but it was probably the longest drive of his goddamn life. I drove him all the way from Mette back to Manchester Airport, and I had to ask the question. I was going, so how did the coffee idea come in your head? And you were actually saying how coffee massively helped you through your recovery, which is a really interesting fact.
Yeah, it just the short story is I was having a cup of coffee in the morning, and I felt as though it took the edge off the pain. But it wasn't actually pain, actually. It was discomfort. I was just like, bloody hell, could do without this.
Well, no, but they are. But like,
it's a pleasure at the end of the day. People it's like for a couple of quid a day. It's like something like nice that people can look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm a big coffee fan. Like, I've But
you're an addict.
If you think of, like, say if you added it up all year and you lumped it together as a thing, you would think, God, it's a ridiculous amount of money to spend on. But I enjoy it. So
have you had one of his?
Yeah.
At Blanchland.
At Blanchland and also at the TT. I'm there all the time. That little 3-wheeler thing outside the race office, outside the media centre. Yeah. And there all the time. One of your best customers.
That's where he gets his victims, gets his books. They are, lads, have one of those.
And then after returning to racing, obviously, like you mentioned, the last time the TT was on, 2019, was a fantastic TT for you. In total, am I right in saying, have you had 3 podiums or 4 podiums at the TT?
10.
Have you had 10? Oh, sorry, I'm sure
it's 10.
Have you had 10 TT podiums?
Yeah.
Wow.
You went from 4, 6, and now it's 10. Oh, right, Jesus wept.
Sorry,
I'm sure it's 10.
Well,
we're going to go with 10. We're going to go with 10. We're going with 10. Straight on the back.
So since returning after your crash, what's been your sort of best races, your best standout moments?
Doesn't even have to be at the TT. That's a good question to have, isn't it? Because every photo of you're absolutely ding donging with someone though, with the back end drifting, and it's class like.
I mean, we've touched on the crash and whatnot, but the first lap I did after coming back, that was where going around past the veranda. That was my lap finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a huge achievement. 9 months back on a bike, bang, right, that sort of thing, put to bed, done the TT thing, that was moved on, and then it was like, right, I need to get faster and fitter and faster, and achieve some decent results to get back on the bloody ladder.
Bloody hell, wait, you've definitely done that. So after 2010, we went to McAdoo. Was it a job change at that point? You went with a different team?
Well, I did
11, didn't you?
No, I stayed put at McAdoo.
Yes.
For 11. Well, at the end of the day, everyone was in their rights to go, we'll just give it a miss. We'll stick someone else on the bike. I'd have been right, no problem at all. I'd be pissed off. Don't get me wrong, but everyone stuck by me. Yeah. And then we saw out the year, and it was like, right, okay, we need to do something different. And then I went to Taiko
Right. And that was
on the Suzuki.
I was about to say the Suzuki days, weren't they?
Yeah, so I did a year there with Guy was teammates with Guy, and then
Did you get on well with Guy?
yeah. Don't get me wrong, I stand and chat to him.
He likes tea though.
He likes to.
You have to get him onto your coffee.
A bit of an
Well,
issue
he was a
here.
good customer at TT the last time he did it. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, he bought cups of tea,
I was about to say
so they had to be right.
the Rossi dividing wall.
Yeah.
There you go. You stay over there, so now I'm staying over here.
But yeah,
It's good. There's
spot on.
good markup on tea, isn't there? Like a tea bag and a bit of milk costs out.
Couldn't quite. What's that?
So yeah, Taiko. So straight into that, and so you went from the Kawasaki's straight into the Suzukis. How confident were you with the Suzukis then?
Really good. And I know where you're going with this.
No, not at all.
It was going great up until the Northwest, and then I got taken out, and that
Yeah, you had more surgery on your wrist, didn't you?
I didn't,
bust those two bones in the hand.
I
And,
didn't know about this. Who took you out?
Oh,
well, unfortunately, Gary Johnson went down and ended up taking me out as well, and Martin Jessup.
Right.
was Mark? Yeah, there's actually an onboard for if you type like the mad thing about road racing is you get always a good montage of racing, don't you? And
Yeah.
sometimes that bit of footage clips up. I think it's an onboard view of your fairing up onto your hand, and just Gary went for a gap that wasn't there, and it was just Jesus. Even for a chicane, you think on a bike, don't you? At the Northwest, this is slow. It's not that slow, is it? You know what I mean? You deaccelerating from 200 mile an hour, and you're going for second gear, but the pace. No wonder it was just your hand. I'm surprised it wasn't more.
I was sporting a Fireblade on my
hand. That's it. Picking it up and carrying it. There you go.
We've got a few Patreon questions. I was just having a quick read through there and a few good ones. Sam Ward, what is it like to race a 500 two-stroke at the Classic TT?
Amazing. I'm not. It's a Bruce Anstey machine. I'm not. I've ridden. I started off on two strokes, but there's no way on earth I was going to say no to riding a 500 around the TT. And I jumped at it again. Clive trusted me with it, and brilliant, and it's etched into my brain.
I bet your old man had a tear at the eye. He's back. My
I was
boy.
barred from the house.
He's back.
We've actually been invited to a two-stroke like sort of meet-up thing in, I think it's in Scunthorpe, I think, but I'll have to double check the dates. It's like November.
That sounds like a trap.
But it's like a big, it's a big two-stroke get-together thing, and like the guy who messages about it's listed like loads of sort of top old two-stroke races and stuff, and like they have a bit of a festival thing. But yeah, we've been invited along to do something. Another good one, Steve Jacks. You've got the coffee shop and the pizza parlor. What's the next Cummins business empire? A pub would be brilliant.
Oh, aye. What would you name your pub? You could name a pub anything. What would you call it?
I don't know about a pub name, but I've had a few suggestions about a couple of drinks, which
The Flattened Kitten.
will not go on this podcast.
What's that? Drinks. Okay.
There's a few names. Yeah. No, I want to do more coffee shops. That's where I'm going with it, I think, and maybe a few pizzerias as well. But I want to get it going properly on the Isle of Man, and then maybe scale it off on off island as well. So yeah, there's a few ideas knocking around, but we got to sort of. You can have too much of a good thing, and we got to be a bit sensible. Like
that's like two of my favourite things, really: pizza and coffee. It's like
yeah,
doesn't really get much
being
better.
sensible. You race motorcycles. There's nothing sensible about it.
espresso based pizza.
Yeah.
I never say never.
That'd be
There,
interesting.
that would
actually.
sell, wouldn't it?
There's one for the menu. The specials board next week.
Tony Rules, why don't you race the Southern 100? Would be great to see you around there.
Yeah,
You have raced the 700 in the past, so haven't
yeah,
you?
we've had some really good results there. And some brilliant races like Farquhar, Martin, Michael. There was one year, I think it was 2009, where the four of us were just hammer and tong the whole way around in a superbike race, and I think each one of us broke the lap record on numerous occasions. It was incredible. But I love doing the circuit. I love racing the circuit, but I sort of I sound stupid, but I view things a little bit differently now. I've got a family and whatnot, and I've got I weigh things up, risk over reward. Really,
Yeah.
that's probably the better way to look at it. And as much as I love racing the track, I've done my bit there, and I'm happy and content with what I've achieved, and it's time to move on. So I'll always support the event. I think the club are, I think other clubs should look at them and say,
Totally agree.
And look at running their club the same. Really, they're really helpful. They're efficient. I mean, you get a schedule when you're a rider. You'll know, Dom. And it's to the minute.
No. It's literally to the minute, though.
Yeah.
It's like
It's military. It's incredible. So,
and one of the highlight points for me personally, though, is the fact that they re-scrutineer a bike every time it comes into a holding area. So no one can be late or anything like that. It's like you can go work on your bike, but it's got to go through like a scrutineering bit, like a holding pen. And there's no tannoy, no nothing. It goes to the minute, and there's a bloke on a gate with a number board like background. So if yellow plate or blue plate or nothing, he goes, next race is blue plate. And then you've just got everyone just staring at this little checkered gate going, right, we're going, warm us off. And no one's late. No one has cold tyres, no nothing. It is just out the door, out the gate, and on the road. And
you've got the respect of the riders when it's like that, because they treat you so well.
Yes.
Everyone's like, right, yeah, let's play ball.
100%.
I think that's the way I look at it anyway.
But like the mad thing is, even on like short circuits, you see it all the time. Like bolts coming loose back. It's the mechanical gremlins, aren't there? Little things go wrong. The fact that you roll in off the road and you go back through scrutiny, it's not like every time when you first turn up and there's someone out trying to overgo it. But it's just checking foot pegs again, and it's just little simple measures like that. I think I could not agree more with what you just said there. I think a lot of clubs need to replicate that, especially in roads. Like the Irish scene, like Moyes and stuff like that. They've got the platform that they can do it, and there wouldn't be any delays. And more importantly, if there's any issues, they come round and tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a delay because of this, because of that, and it's not expensive. It's just a simpler way of doing it.
Yeah,
and I think
everyone works together and
totally agree.
Everyone achieves their end goal, don't they?
Well, that's it. So, tell you what, an extension on that question. You're a man who's just you've achieved so much. Like, is there any road races that you haven't done that you would like to do? Or have you kind of ticked them all off your list, really?
I mean,
And now I know Spa's on. Nah, that's a short circuit. That doesn't really count. So let's go any circuit. I want a bucket list track.
I think some of the IRRC.
Yes.
Some of them tracks, like probably because it's got a lot of history, is like Imatra. That one track would stand out to me. That's an interesting one.
Clive, if you're listening.
Yeah. But I've done all the Irish ones. I've done Macau. I've done all the internationals.
Yeah.
I've done Scarborough. Once actually, on a 250, which is that was good.
Your dad tearing up.
yeah. But I've done all the big road races. I've done the Wanganui Street Circuit in New Zealand there.
I would love to do that.
That was a really good event. I mean, talking to clubs who look after, I mean, they were just, I managed to swing it that me and Danielle, my wife, went out there on our honeymoon. Oh, by the way, there's a race out there I'd like to do. Time to just chucking the ladders in the suitcase.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. Well, it was, just incredible. So it was nice to go out there and, again, massive TT fan base.
Yeah.
How did you meet the good lady then? By the way, he's punching well above
just
his waist.
I was just trying to word it in a polite way, but yes, you are big time. we need
Swinging.
to. What's your secret?
Bottles of champagne and multiple podiums. There you go.
She couldn't resist my charm.
Is that what it was? The Manx
My
charm.
strong black coffee.
Yeah.
Go on then. How did you
Hopefully,
meet
it's
her
no
then?
reflection on my character, but the first drink I got was a glass of water.
Shut up, man.
Yeah.
No, you can't just skate past that. How on earth did you be that tight to just give her a glass of water? Let's build a scene here, Connor.
Mosey on over there with
Did you
showing her a few moves in the nightclub, and
Did you meet her through racing? Or was
No,
it-
no,
oh, totally separate?
absolutely
Did she-
nothing to do with racing.
Did she know who you were when you first approached her?
No. Bloody hell. No
Oh,
chance. No. It was my dashing looks. That
You can probably just see old
drew her
Jen
close
just
to
looking
me.
up.
You know? Yeah, it was the water. I think it was the water that really sealed the deal. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Didn't cost me
They
a
are-
penny, you know.
They are, darling, you look dehydrated.
Yeah,
You do-
yeah,
Rosa,
can't help but notice.
yeah. But bloody hell, I know I'm definitely punching. 100%. I don't. Yeah.
Aren't we all, gentlemen? Aren't we all?
I pat myself on the back.
So I tell you what, obviously the glass of any blokes out there looking for love, glass of water is obviously the key.
the
'Cause
one.
Oh, yeah, give me a shout. I've got a few little.
Connor's Hill Blind, imagine hello. In a man's accent, hello pet.
Usually,
Make sure you pay for a coffee first and then ask me for some advice.
Connor's Love Corner. Instead of pizzerias, that's what we're gonna have next. But so obviously it definitely worked though, because you got two little additions to the family, haven't you?
Yeah, two beautiful little girls. Definitely after their mother. Little Imogen and Connie. So we've actually brought them here this weekend to Brands as the first sort of first outing for us all, because COVID and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we jumped in the camper yesterday and we're here. Yeah, it's
Bloody
good.
hell.
It's brilliant.
What do they make? Well, they would have grown up with the Isle of Man, haven't they? So this would be anything special for them, kind of thing.
Well, Connie did the last Ulster that we're all at.
Yeah.
That was her first sort of race meeting. In fact, no, actually, the TT was her first big race meeting.
Right.
And much to Danielle's delight, she's not really bothered about bikes, which
Good,
is fantastic. I'm really happy about that myself. You know.
Good.
Imogen could be the I think she's got a bit of an eye for bikes.
Here we go. Straight off
Another
the
glass of water. Danielle.
Well, usually we give a chance at the end to sort of promote or whatever, like merchandise or whatever. But I guess the coffee for you is if anyone do you know, for example, if someone's in the UK and they wanted to buy some coffee, whatever, do you do it like online deliveries or anything like that?
We send up. We actually. Yeah, I think I said before, we ship a bit of coffee off Ireland. So we've got a website, conrods.im. I hate plugging. I'll be honest with you. I sound like an
Go for
absolute
it.
nausea.
No, go for it. I can guarantee you, quite a few people
just buy me coffee.
Quite a few people listen to this, and I can guarantee you that at least somebody will get in touch. And
Nice one.
People will
Tom.
have cafes and
That's
stuff,
I
and
need
probably
your coffee, man.
want to stock up. So what is it, Conrod?
Conrods.im.
Right.
Yeah, it's. But I mean, other than that, it's get yourself to the TT or the Isle of Man, and we've got a lot of stuff going on over there. It's a cracking place to go. I mean, I think you two guys can vouch for it as well.
I'll definitely be booking a table at the pizzeria when I'm next over there. So
Can you do you sell hats kind of thing at the shop? T-shirts?
Yeah, we've got
so
a
you
few
can get all
Conrods
that.
hats and whatnot. Yeah, we got a bit of a merch line as well. But
Fantastic.
if you want a nice place to come and eat, it's definitely come and give us a shout. And
what's your best pizza?
Espresso pizza coming 2022.
Yeah, well, might sound a bit boring, but the pepperoni, it's mega. It is the one.
You look like a Meat Feast fan, Chrissy, these days.
Feast.
Yeah, well, we do a meat feast as well. Yeah,
Something spicy, something meaty and spicy is usually my go-to.
We've got
So,
He's chuckling away there.
it's got to be done.
Yeah, no, we've got like a specials board as well, and we chuck specials on there every week as well. So next Friday and Saturday, I'm in the kitchen, so
They are the special.
don't come to the restaurant.
Straight up the bat there.
And I do think a little coffee man espresso machine would look nice just here. If there's any a little coffee for our guests.
And
would be
that's how
nice.
you and that's how you plug straight off the bat. That's how it's done. But I tell you what, before we love you and leave you, I tell you what, we've got obviously a few more questions. But what does the future hold for Conor Cummins? What's the 2022 season looking like for you?
So Malenko by Padgett's
Brilliant.
racing as well. That's what's happening next year for us.
Fantastic.
In terms of the schedule, I don't know at the minute. This is our final race of the year, so it's just been nice being able to get out on a bike again. But I think this is clearly the place where we need to be
Yes.
to get up.
But you and
Bang on
Davey
the
are
pace.
showing that, you know what I mean? And obviously, Clive himself, you know, GP quality and world quality rider, you know. It's great to have you here time and time again, without a doubt, you know, the whole Padgett's team. So it's great that you're back on with them, really is. But we've got a few more questions here, Chrissy?
No, pretty much that's them all. So
sweet.
Massive thank you for giving up your time and coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for
all
asking.
the best on Sunday, and obviously for
Likewise.
next year.
Yeah, tap the tail unit when you go past him.
Please do. And, take
Pit lane.
Yeah, huge thank you to all of our patrons and to our sponsor Colchester Kawasaki, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much. Before we go, we'll get that cap signed as well. We've got a giveaway for the patrons, but if we can get it, have you got that pen?
I've got mate. I had to go to Cambridge for it.
Right, we'll get this signed and give it to one of our patrons. So thanks very much and take care.
Cheers, Conor.
See you in a bit.
Click, buy, deliver with remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.